Hello, good evening everyone. This is Unique. I feel that I had to make this video to express how I feel and tell the reason why I walked away from the pulpit. I know I was called, I realized I was called to preach 2007, which I always fought my calling because I did not want to be a preacher. This is not what I wanted to do. Even though that I knew this is what God wanted me to do, I just knew being a preacher, no, didn't want the responsibility, I didn't want no parts of it. But when I had moved to Nashville, Tennessee, September of 2009, and I had joined a nice little church that was not far from my home. And that's when I really truly realized that I must give in to God and stand up and tell the church what I was called to do. Now, I wasn't accepted the way that I thought I was going to be accepted. I thought it was going to be easy, but come to find out, it was not easy. I was talked about. I was I was told that God did not call me. Um, I was even told that really I wasn't financially fit to be even on that pulpit or for God to even call me to preach. Um, so the first time I stepped up, I basically was pushed away. So I walked away from church because my heart was broken. I never expected that these people whom I love uh, would ever talk down on me. So I walked away from the church for a little bit, and someone told me another pastor came to the church, and they begged me to come back to church. So I decided, to come back to church and see how this pastor was and see what things was about. Um, when I met this pastor, his spirit was wonderful, as well as his wife. Um, he accepted me with open arms. He loved when I sing. I mean, he had high hopes for me. So it was one day I had broke down crying, and I wanted to talk to him, so I set up a meeting with him. And I was crying and crying and crying to the point that I really couldn't even explain what I wanted to talk to him about because I was afraid that he would turn me away just like the other pastor turned me away. So when I broke down and told him, he was so excited for me. He was so glad for me. He was so happy that I went up and I stood and, you know, and told him, and he embraced me with open arms. And he told me the truth. He just told me the truth about, the devil is going to be on me even harder, you know. So I was excited for this pastor, my pastor. I still call him my pastor now. And not only that he's my pastor, I look at him and his wife as my mother. Since I don't have, my real mother and my father no more, I look at them as my father and my mother. So he has so much high hopes for me, and I preached and he enjoyed it, and I sung and he enjoyed it, and but I realized when I was up there, my problem was I wasn't doing it for God. I was doing it for man. Even though I know I was called to do it, I wasn't doing it for the sake of God. I was doing it for the sake of man. When I got up there and I preached and I talked, I used to worry about what people would say, how they would look at me being up there. When I got up there and sung, I didn't sing for the Lord. I sing for man, you know. And I always felt about how what people would say, even though God was telling me in the back of my mind, keep doing it. Do it, do it, do it for me. Do it for me. Don't worry about what these people say. Do it for me. So, when I was doing, like I said, when I was doing it just trying to please man. And as time went on, I just didn't feel right. I just didn't feel like I was fit to even be on that pulpit. Not only because of me not doing it for God, I felt like I wasn't worthy enough. I felt like I wasn't good enough due to the fact of my background, my life, the way I live my life. Knowing that, my pastor used to always express that he wasn't perfect, that he, did things in his past. But I just didn't care, because I just felt like my past was just dirtier than everyone's on that pulpit. I felt like I wasn't good enough to be on that pulpit. I felt like I wasn't, didn't have enough money to be on that pulpit like each and every one of them. Our church, even though it was a little church, we had a church, some of our members are doctors and nurses and in the education system, and they work good jobs, and they worked there for long time, and there was no need for them. They didn't want for nothing from when it came to money. So, or I felt ashamed when I couldn't put money into the, to pay my tithes, or I couldn't put money in the offering plate, and I just felt like I just wasn't good enough. I felt so bad. I just felt like I wasn't good enough. And even though my pastor tried to encourage me, his wife tried to encourage me, and a couple more people tried to continue to encourage me, I still felt like I wasn't good enough for the people. Regardless of what God thought of me, regardless of him choosing me, I just felt I was not good enough. I just felt that way. So by me feeling that way and feeling so low, I walked away. And when I had told my pastor, well, I didn't even tell him. He had found out. And he had found out by, I don't know if it was someone, or I finally had told, I don't know how it was. But he was so upset. I could tell my pastor was so upset with me by leaving, and because it was plenty of other times he had told me, no, you can't run, you can't run, you can't run. And it even though his words, it came from him, it was important, but I still felt I wasn't good enough. And I was doing it for the wrong reasons. So I had walked away. And I went back home thinking that was the right thing to do. And come to find out, it was not the right thing to do. But in the midst of it, I had to learn. And God had talked to me. He said, I called you not because you was perfect. I chose you. You didn't choose me. I chose you for reasons, for my reasons. And he said, I need you to get back up there and do what I called you to do, Unique. I need you to get back up there. Allow me to work in you. And you do it for me. Don't do it for man. I don't care what they think. It's not about man. It's about me. Me using you to touch people's hearts through me. So now I'm trying my best to get myself back together, because it seemed like I just lost my way. I'm learning. Just like this message, I feel like I had to say it to let someone know the reason why I walked away. But God told me it's time for me to go back. It's not about people. When you sing, you sing for me. When you get up there and you speak them words, it's words that I gave to you to speak out. I'm starting to understand as I read my Bible. I realize that God didn't choose perfect people. God chose a lot of people with a lot of issues going on in their life. Now I realize that, and I'm praying that my pastor, my father, will open his arms and put me up under his wing again, so we could touch people's hearts together, and we could bring these souls back into this church and build this relationship back with each other, and with the church, within the church, and the people who's been so broken. We could build that relationship and bring them back, because right now is the time. With so much is going on right now, is the time. So I'm asking my pastor, the people of my church, even the people that have been on social media that look forward to me speaking and singing. I'm asking you to forgive me. God told me to come back, and I'm coming back. And I'm not doing it for man no more. I'm doing it for him. God said it don't have to be perfect for him. So I'm asking you to forgive me. The best is yet to come. Thank you for this journey. Thank you for helping me making me realize that, he don't call the perfect. And I'm far from being perfect. I'm ready. And I'm willing. And I'm able. And I'm not going to allow man to break me down no more. And I'm ready to serve God. And I'm ready to die for God. So that's what I have to say. I love you. There's nothing you could do about it. And many blessings to you. Bye-bye.